Today, we're diving deep into the engineering magic behind training these massive AI models, the ones like GPT-4. It's really a story about how some incredibly smart people hit a wall, a fundamental speed limit in computing, and came up with a strategy that is, at its core, both brilliantly simple and unbelievably powerful.
So it all boils down to this one question. You've got models with billions, or now literally trillions of parameters. And the datasets? They're so vast you measure them in terabytes. I mean, you can't just load that on your MacBook and hit train. So how on earth do the big labs actually do it?
All right, so to really get the solution, you first have to understand the sheer scale of the problem. And it isn't just about hard drive space, it's about time. State-of-the-art AI development basically ran smack into a computational speed wall. Just imagine trying to read the entire internet, out loud, line by line. Even if you had the fastest supercomputer on the planet, it would take an absurd amount of time. That's pretty much the challenge we're talking about with modern AI. A single GPU, no matter how beefy, would take years, maybe even decades, to train one of today's foundation models. So it's clear we absolutely have to go parallel.
And that brings us to this really elegant solution that became the bedrock for training at scale. It's called data parallelism. The concept itself is just beautiful in its simplicity. Think about it this way. If one chef is too slow to cook a giant meal, you don't try to make that one chef faster. Nope, you hire 100 chefs, you give every single one of them the exact same recipe, and then you give each of them their own little basket of ingredients to work on. Here, our chefs are GPUs, the recipe is the AI model, and the ingredients, well, that's just different chunks of the training data. So let's actually walk through what happens in a single, tiny training step. First, step 1. We make sure every GPU starts with a perfectly identical copy of the model. Then, step 2. We chop up the data and send a piece to each GPU. Step 3. They all get to work at the same time, computing in parallel. Then, and this is the most important part, step 4. They all have to stop and talk to each other to combine what they've learned. This stuff they've learned is called gradients, which are basically just hints on how to make the model a little bit better. Finally, with all that combined wisdom, step 5. They all update their models in perfect unison.
Now, that synchronization part is absolutely vital. This method is called synchronous training. Everybody waits for everybody else before taking the next step. Now, there is an alternative, asynchronous training, where GPUs just update whenever they feel like it. But as you can imagine, that can lead to total chaos, with some GPUs working on stale, outdated information. So for the reliable, super accurate models we all want, synchronous training is really the gold standard.
But like a lot of elegant solutions in engineering, this one creates a brand new problem of its own. We solved the computation problem, which is great, but in doing so, we accidentally created a huge communication problem. Remember that fourth step, aggregate gradients? In the real world, this is an operation called an all-reduce, and it's basically a moment where every single GPU has to shout its findings to every other GPU in the system. When you've got thousands of GPUs, this becomes a massive digital traffic jam. All that powerful computation just grinds to a halt while everyone waits for the network to clear up. And this leads to something called the straggler effect. Because everyone has to sync up, this entire fleet of supercomputers is only as fast as its single slowest member. So if just one GPU hiccups, for even a fraction of a second, thousands of other incredibly expensive GPUs are just sitting there, completely idle, burning enormous amounts of power and money for no reason.
And this kicks off a really nasty, vicious cycle. So follow me here. A giant model takes up a ton of memory, right? That forces us to use smaller chunks of data, smaller batch sizes on each GPU. But smaller chunks of data get computed way faster, which means the GPUs spend even less time doing actual work and more time just waiting around for that communication step to finish. The ratio of work to wait gets worse, and our efficiency just plummets.
So we have our new villain, the communication bottleneck. How do you fight it? Well, you fight it with some absolutely brilliant engineering breakthroughs that basically rewrote the rules for how these computers talk to each other.
The first big idea was to completely change how the GPUs talk. The simple, naive way is like having a single, massive intersection in the middle of a city where every single car has to pass through. It's just guaranteed gridlock. The smarter approach is something called ring-all-reduce. This is more like a perfectly efficient, multi-lane traffic circle. Each GPU only ever talks to its immediate neighbors, passing information along in a logical ring. It's decentralized, it's super elegant, and it uses the available network bandwidth perfectly.
Okay, so ring-all-reduce helps the traffic move way faster. But we still have a huge problem with redundancy. See, up to this point, every single GPU is still holding a complete, full-fat copy of the model, all its gradients, and these things called optimizer states, which is basically the model's memory of how it's been learning. For a model with billions of parameters, this redundant data adds up to terabytes of completely wasted memory across the whole system. And that puts a very hard cap on just how big a model you can possibly train. So enter the hero of our memory story, the Zero Redundancy Optimizer, or just Zero for short. This was a completely radical new way of thinking about memory. Instead of just accepting all this waste, Zero gets rid of it in 3 stages. Stage 1 splits up the optimizer states. Stage 2 takes care of the gradients. But stage 3 is where the real magic happens. It's a total paradigm shift.
With Zero Stage 3, no single GPU holds the entire model anymore, not even close. Each one just holds on to a small slice of the model's parameters. Then when a layer is actually needed for a calculation, the GPUs quickly work together to assemble that layer on the fly, pulling the pieces they need from their neighbors. They use it, and then they immediately discard it to free up memory. This one innovation all by itself unlocked the ability to train models with over 1 trillion parameters. That's an order of magnitude bigger than what anyone thought was possible before.
So, we've used Zero to make our data parallelism incredibly efficient. But even this amazing technique is just one piece of a much larger puzzle. To train something on the scale of a GPT-4, you have to combine multiple strategies into a truly massive blueprint for distributed training.
You see, data parallelism, the one we've been talking about, is really just one tool in the toolbox. It's mostly designed to speed things up when you have a huge dataset. But there are other tools for other problems. You have model and pipeline parallelism, which are all about splitting the model itself across different GPUs just so it can physically fit in memory. And then there's tensor parallelism, which goes even deeper and splits up the actual math equations inside a single model layer. Each one is a specialized tool for a very specific job. And here's the kicker. These are not either-or choices. The way state-of-the-art training really works is by creating a symphony of all of them working together at once. It's often called 3D parallelism. You might be using tensor parallelism to split up a giant layer inside a small group of GPUs, while using pipeline parallelism to split the whole model between different groups, all while using data parallelism to replicate that entire setup across the entire cluster. It's this wild, three-dimensional approach that lets us scale up to tens of thousands of GPUs.
So there you have it. We went from hitting a simple speed wall to creating these complex 3D solutions that are really pushing the known limits of distributed computing. We've basically mastered the art of parallelism to build AI on a scale that was once science fiction. But this incredible success creates the next grand challenge, doesn't it? As these models get exponentially more powerful, are we just heading towards a new kind of wall? Not one of computation, but one of pure physics and energy consumption? That, right there, is the next blueprint that's waiting to be written.